9/11 changed life as we knew it across the country, and Muslim Americans recall a distinct shift in attitudes toward them. Islamophobia grew exponentially, and hate crimes against Muslims ensued, including right here in Ohio. Spectrum News 1 reporter Michaela Marshall joins me in studio to explain where we stand now, 2 decades later. Michaela?
Curtis, in some ways, there has been measurable progress for Muslim Americans as we reflect on the last 20 years. The Muslim population has grown to roughly 1.1%, and the number of mosques has doubled in the United States since 2000, according to Pew Research Center. And Muslim Americans have since gained formal representation in our government and Congress. But Islamophobia existed prior to the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and it still persists today. I spoke with the president of the Islamic Center of Cleveland and his family to gain their perspective. Here is their story.
It's the first day of kindergarten.
Let's go, young man.
Parents Ziad Taya and Sihar Razik are picking up their 5-year-old son Tariq from school.
You ready to go to the office? Let's go.
Taya is a lawyer. Razik is a paralegal. They're also Muslim Americans. Religion is an important part of their everyday life. That includes praying 5 times a day. And instilling Islamic values in their son is a top priority.
The most important thing that I will ever leave my son.
Tariq studies the Quran daily.
The definition of Islam is peace.
But experts say Islamophobia, or the irrational fear and discrimination against Muslims, is real, and it heightened dramatically after 9/11. According to the FBI, there was a 1,600% increase in anti-Muslim hate crime incidents in 2001.
A couple of days after September 11th, our mosque was attacked. So we attended the Islamic Center of Cleveland, which is located in Parma, Ohio. And that was pretty much the only major mosque in the area at the time.
The 9/11 terrorist attacks remain a moment in our country's history that just about everyone vividly remembers. They remember where they were and what they were doing when they heard the horrific news, even now, 20 years later.
I remember watching the news with my mom and dad, and I remember looking over at my dad with his hands over his face like, oh my God.
Razik says everything changed after it became clear terrorist group Al-Qaeda was behind the attacks.
They didn't make it like mandatory, but they pretty much said, you know, for the Muslims to kind of stay at home.
Taya was 18 at the time. He enlisted in the Army just a few months before 9/11 changed America forever.
And then the second plane came crashing into the second tower. And at that point, we knew that this was an act of war.
Although a few hateful incidents stick out in his memory, Taya says there has also been an abundance of support. Through personal interactions and relationships, he's proud that he's been able to shift some mindsets on what it truly means to be a Muslim in America.
They realized that they shouldn't judge an entire people by the acts of a couple of extremists.
But he says it's an uphill battle, and a lot more work needs to be done to combat Islamophobia.
I think that it's become worse, actually. I think that a lot of the voices that you hear out there are much louder than they were previously.
Ultimately, this family is hopeful for a better future and believes we should focus more on what makes us the same instead of what makes us different.
The United States are. Let's be united.
Be friends with a Muslim and you'll come to realize that we're not all that much different.
This family says the most important thing we can do is meet Muslims, befriend them, and ask questions so we can all have a better understanding. They told me a lot of the issue lies in ignorance and negative stereotypes.
Michaela, you reported that hate crimes against Muslims grew by 1,600% in 2001. What about in recent years?
Well, the Council on American Islamic Relations says there was a 20% decrease in hate crimes reported in 2020, but the organization believes that is in large part due to the COVID-19 lockdowns. According to the Institute for Social Policy and Understanding, between 2016 and 2020, about 60% of Muslim Americans reported experiencing religious discrimination. So it's clear challenges remain for Muslims in America, even 20 years later, Curtis.
Michaela, thank you.